I was about to tell a story about how I've heard people complain, but sometimes I think hearing so many complaints about everything, it makes us feel more justified when we complain. It becomes more socially normal. It becomes something that's healthy or seen as healthy to complain a lot. But perhaps it's not. Perhaps it's easy if we all instead choose to focus more on the things we have to be grateful for. All of the beautiful things in life. If I can choose to focus on that, if what comes out of my mouth is that, that's what's going in other people's ears. Instead of hearing more the complaints, like what you hear reflected into your mind, that's what you reflect with your heart and with your actions and with your words. So I think that's part of why I've noticed this in my writing too recently, in my ramblings. Check out my website at hannaviolet.com, www.hannaviolet.com. I've been writing just random things. It's very personal, so buckle up. But in those, I've been finding that my process of it is I write just whatever my thoughts are, and then I go back and I look. And often I found I write, you should do something. And then I look at that sentence for a while and I realize what I mean is, I wish I was doing something. So instead I say, you should do blah, 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 you should do blah, blah, blah. As if you all out there in the universe, nobody who's even reading this, I don't know, is the person, this entity who should be doing something. But when I really reflect on it myself, I realize that that is something I wished I was doing. So I go back and I rewrite it and I try to phrase it as I would like to treat others with more kindness or something. I don't know. Go read it. It's self-explanatory maybe once you read it. And I don't think I catch all of those things, though. I don't think I catch all of the subliminal messages I'm sending out to myself. I'm trying to tell myself a way to be happier when I'm telling someone else to do something. If I say, you should make a podcast, that means like, I kind of would probably like it if I was making a podcast of some kind. So why am I going out there saying, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, when it's something that I want to be doing? And I think it's partially because I'm afraid to acknowledge that, because that means if I acknowledge it, I need to do it. I can't just once I acknowledge that I want to do something, and if I care about myself in any way, won't I want to do the things I've openly said I want to do? Like if your dearest loved one, if they say, I seriously want to be a movie star or something, wouldn't you try to help them? If it was any reasonable dream of theirs, if they said, like, I, in my deepest heart, want to be a mathematician, if they say that, wouldn't you do everything in your power to help them get to that goal because you love them? So when you yourself acknowledge that you have these dreams, when I myself acknowledge that I have big dreams, then should I not be pushing myself to follow that intuition and take direct actual steps towards those dreams instead of hesitating and waiting for somebody else to fulfill my dreams so that I can watch them and feel a little spark of that fire that's burning inside of me? Instead of watching somebody else fulfill those dreams, why not start putting myself in a position that shows that I am achieving those dreams? I can be the person I want to be if I take actionable steps towards being that person. but I have to truly believe that I can be that person. I think often we put up these walls that make us believe that we can't be that person. But I think I can be that person. And I think I would like to believe that everybody could be that person that they dream they could be. At least, maybe they can't be that person. Maybe they do have these physical limitations. We all have physical limitations. I have dreams that I may physically be unable to do. And that's just a reality of life. We can't always achieve all of our dreams necessarily, but taking steps towards that dream. I think that's part of it. There's no end goal. The best dreams don't end. The best dreams are dreams that are something we can work towards actively, not passively. It's not something, I got this house and now I'm done, or I got my dream car, I got my dream wife, and now I'm done. That's not how it works. You're not just done at a certain point. At a certain point in your life, you're always just beginning. You're always, if you don't have that sense of purpose, you need a daily purpose. It can't be, because if it's something you've achieved, then what's your purpose once that's been achieved? I suppose nothing. And then that's a very difficult existence, to have nothing. The purpose doesn't have to be one thing, and it doesn't have to be big. That sounds strange, but it doesn't have to be. Well, I think we always think of purposes as this big thing like marriage or fancy cars or lots of money, whatever. But I think they can be simpler, like be a good partner to somebody, to be filling those around me with joy, to make every interaction I have with another person, leave them feeling more positive, leave them feeling safer, calmer, more full of joy, more full of peace. That's how they walk away from every one of your interactions. Imagine how popular you would be if you make people feel good. We all try these things like, maybe if I smoke, I'll be cooler. Or maybe if I wear this kind of clothes, I'll be cooler. And then people will want to hang out with me more. But I really think people want to hang out with you more when you show that you care about them. And this is something I always need to work on. Everybody could do better at this, I think. To be perpetually trying to encourage other people, because if we're not encouraging other people, what are we doing? I think often we're discouraging each other. I hear a lot more discouragement than I hear encouragement these days. People tear themselves down, people tear other people down. That's the primary types of conversations I hear. People tearing each other down and tearing themselves down, especially tearing themselves down. Downplaying their abilities, downplaying their experiences, downplaying their feelings. I think it's a little heartbreaking, actually, how normalized discouragement and hatred and fear has been promoted in daily conversation with everybody all the time. And it's almost taboo to have positive conversations. It's almost taboo to talk about something you really enjoyed, about your day, about your life. As a teacher, we're trained to sandwich bad news to parents. So if we're struggling with one of the behaviors of a child in the school, what we do is first reflect on 2 things that this child is doing really well, 2 things that this child is thriving at. Because if you look, every child is thriving at something. They're thriving at something. If you really take the time to think about it and look at them and examine their hearts, and then you sandwich it. You say, one of those beautiful positive things, like your child has so much energy and really cares about bringing joy to everybody else around them. they really do share their love openly with other kids, and that's a beautiful thing. They're really a leader in socially. So noticing little things like that, where I think, yeah. And then if there is bad news, and it's not bad news, I always express that to parents too. It's not bad news if your child is hyperactive or something, but I think it's always portrayed as bad news. And then that reflects on how the parents and the teachers and the other children perceive that child. If you label him as the hyperactive one who's always misbehaving, he now sees himself, his energy, his enthusiasm, his ability to draw attention, to get a crowd going, to get other people excited about life, that behavior is crushed. And then we wonder why our young men are growing up to fear sharing their ideas and their creativity and their love. We have a generation of young men who are afraid to love, and they're afraid to feel, and just afraid to express their ideas proudly. So I think instead of saying like, your kid is too hyperactive and broke something today, sorry, I said a negative thing, so I don't even want you to think thoughts like that. Instead, it could be, he has a lot of energy, so we're working on strategies for how to control some of that energy when it's at an inappropriate time, and when is the best way to get that energy out. And we're focusing on taking more time to exercise, taking more time to get outside and get running. We're doing every hour on the hour, he's running laps for a few minutes. Like, we're also building his physical endurance, and often those hyperactive kids, those kids are the parkour children. They're jumping off the shelves, they're climbing up stuff, and kids are great. They really are. But, so you teach them how to fall safely. You teach them how to climb safely. You teach them those skills. You explain that blisters are going to form on their hands if they try to climb a stop sign. But then you train them that how to do it safely. You need to wash your hands very well every time you do something like that. You know, you're getting dirty germs because you don't want an infection if one of your blisters pops. So we talk through all of those consequences. These are real life things that would happen if he was an adult trying to learn parkour or something, you know. So they really learn to really be proud of their skills and what they are good at, and they become able to acknowledge their things they struggle with. Like, I've heard these kids say, like, I'm having a hard time focusing, I'm getting distracted, I want to do this, but I'm having a hard time focusing. So then we think about taking a break or doing something else for a bit and then coming back to it later. And we talk about the different strategies you can do for finishing something. So it's like, we have a plan, so let's do our plan, but we can manage the time and figure out and just balance the real life things of, okay, how much time do I have left before the end of the day? What things do I want to accomplish? And then I help remind the children, what did you want to accomplish? You told me today you wanted to do this, this, and this. This was your plan at the beginning of the day. Do you still want to complete that plan? And usually the answer is yes, we planned that. We want to do that today. So then I teach the kids that, okay, so this is how much time, or I don't teach them. I walk through this and we have a conversation. This is how much time we have. This will take about this much time. This I suspect would take about this much time. And that would leave this much time for this thing. Are you okay with that balance of time for the rest of the day? And they're like, well, I also want to do this other thing. So I'll explain again, you know, okay, if we do that other thing, that takes about this much time. You could do that, but then this walk outside will be a little shorter. Are you okay with that? And then the four of us, the three children and I, we discuss if that's okay with all of us. If we all agree that that sounds like a reasonable plan, I set the limits. Okay, we have to be home by 3 o'clock because that's when the parents will come. So it's teaching them how to manage their own time, how to manage their schedules, how to prioritize what they're interested in doing. It's a different sort of, it's teaching them the skills they really need as adults. And then we have practical math, especially. We do multiplication and addition and subtraction. by doing that in our real lives, as we're exploring their neighborhood, as we're counting acorns, as we're everything, as we're doing everything. It's all, they learn naturally what they would need to survive in the real world a little bit. I mean, also, I'm trying to take it beyond that, not just the very basic skills, but just trying to give them a bigger sense of what the world is while their minds are still so beautifully flexible. And we have a lot of very good discussions about really big ideas. We talk about death. We talk about politics. We had several days talking about politics. And we discuss current affairs. We talk about coronavirus and what they've heard about the vaccinations. And we have very mature, calm discussions about all of these. And they share their ideas. Kids aren't stupid. Like, they're really not. They really have really beautiful insights without all the biases of life that we've all collected. They have very pure motives. They love their families first. You know, today, the kids asked me, because it's my birthday, they were like, what's your most favorite thing to do? And I said, I don't know what my favorite thing is to do. And then the little boy says, I know what your favorite thing is to do. And I was like, you do? I was like, well, I like snowboarding, you know, I like singing, I like to draw, I like to hang out with you guys. I don't know. I don't know what my most favorite thing is. And he goes, what do you mean you don't know what your favorite thing is? Like, I know what your favorite thing. I was like, well, what's my favorite thing? I don't know my favorite thing. Maybe you know me better than I know me. And he goes, spending time with your family. And, you know, he's right. Spending time with my family and the friends who I consider family, that is my favorite thing to do. And he knew that. I thought that was really beautiful. That was really sweet. Kids really see your heart, and they reflect who you are and how you feel about yourself. Like, it's always very fascinating to me who and what they fear and why they fear it. A lot of times it's a misunderstanding of what something is. Like, if a child's afraid of dogs, but they've never been bitten or anything, they're just, or I guess fear of dogs is more like dogs will jump on you and sometimes they do bite. So I can get that. That's a good fear for a child to have, perhaps. Maybe it's better for them to handle dogs when they're older if they're afraid of them, you know? But, sorry, I digress. I often digress. I think I've talked enough tonight. So, sorry again that the video cut out. But I shouldn't apologize so much. This worked out nicely, so it's just a talk show. Yeah. Check me out on my website. This is a love gun, by the way. I would never shoot you. You use, can I do this like this? Use a little Chinese heart like this, and then you go like that. So, oh, this is a good little sign out thing. I'll do that. Ready?